All right, so I think we're going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. This is part of our monthly webinar series that we conduct here at ACE Micro. So again, thank you for taking the time to get together. The topic for today, we thought we'd keep this an internal conversation because a lot of times we bring in third-party partners to present at these events, but we're going to keep it internal today, and we're going to talk about what we learned at Summit 2023. So for those of you that don't know, Microsoft Community Summit is the big annual conference every year, typically in the fall. This year was mid-October. So it's been about a month since we all returned from that, but we wanted to share some of the thoughts and the insights that we gained during our attendance at that event. So the agenda that we have today, myself, Mark Munson, I'll be presenting first. I'll be talking about kind of what I gleaned from Microsoft. Microsoft was there in full attendance, had some nice opportunities to meet with them, talk to them, sit in some of the presentations. So I'll be covering those types of topics. Then I'm going to turn it over to Chris Zeiler here on our team. He's going to focus in on Dynamics 365 Business Central, Power Platform, and artificial intelligence. Specifically, Copilot is what Microsoft calls that. So Chris will have some nice thoughts and takeaways. At that point, Chris will turn it over to Laura Murphy. She'll be talking about deployment strategies and some of the things that she tried to focus in on her training and education and insight. So she'll be discussing that. Lastly, we have Gil Escobar, who will be talking about just the experience overall. What is it like to go to Summit? And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So that's the agenda that we have today. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started on Microsoft. So what I learned from and gleaned from Microsoft, and every year it's a little bit different. Some years it's pretty straightforward. Other years there's a lot of announcements coming out. A couple of my observations is, first and foremost, Microsoft had a really strong presence this year. Last year they did not, and I think they got a lot of grief for that. So this year they had nearly 50 Microsoft speakers and attendees. So plenty of opportunity to meet with Microsoft personnel, talk to Microsoft personnel, hear from them. Actually, there was a session on the Sunday before the conference even started that was specific to partners and that was conducted by Microsoft personnel, which was really, really nice for us as a partner. And you got to remember, this is not a Microsoft event. This event is sponsored by Community Summit, which is a third-party organization out there that puts these events on. So for Microsoft to step up and have 50 attendees there for the full week was, I thought, a nice sign. And hopefully that commitment continues. Other things that I saw in general is there continues to be just a tremendous amount of investment in their solutions. So specifically areas that we're focused on: Business Central, the Power Platform, artificial intelligence, and Azure. Some of the things that I saw that were I thought very interesting is in Business Central, they're showing a 29% year-over-year growth in Business Central adoption, which is tremendous for any new ERP system. Those are great numbers. So the adoption of Business Central continues to be strong. There were some other numbers that were even higher when you talk about, the number of users and adoption rates. Speaking of users, they had an interesting statistic out there that the typical install of Business Central is now up to about 20 users. When the solution first came out 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we were looking at numbers like 6, 8 average users per BC install. Now we're up to 20 with lots and lots of installs, well over 100 and even into the thousands on some of the really big installs. But average number of users is 20, so that number continues to tick up at a nice rate. On the Power Platform side, a lot of buzz around Power Platform and a lot of year-over-year growth. The platform itself showed a 50% year-over-year growth rate, which is pretty impressive, and obviously shows a commitment from Microsoft to continue to invest in the platform. And I think the end user community understanding all the cool things they can do with the Power Platform now when it comes to workflows, it comes to data visualization, those types of things. Chris will talk more about that as well. One of the things I really liked is the increased assistance to partners. Microsoft, like any other big publisher, kind of goes through these waves where sometimes they really love the partners and sometimes not so much. And we're in one of those waves where they really are looking to the partner community to to push their solutions out into the marketplace, and they're providing us with the tools, the methodologies, the internal partnering capabilities for resources, because they've pushed a lot of new technology into the market. And the only way, in our minds, that clients can really get a good understanding around it is if the partner community is embracing those solutions and understands those solutions, so that we can go out and talk intelligently to our clients, promote strong use case scenarios, and in cases where you've committed to that, to drive the user adoption. There's no sense in spending all this money unless our users step up and actually use the solution. So they have a measurement out there called MAU. MAU is what it's fondly referred to, and it is really kind of the monthly average usage. So showing that, okay, I have maybe 100 subscriptions to this solution, but I'm only using 80 of them. Well, why are those 20 subscriptions not being used? And what can we do to get the end users engaged and adopting those solutions to consume those licenses and get better value? Other things they're doing, which I can understand, but the accreditations as a partner are getting tougher. There's some strong accreditations, some strong certifications out there that the partner community is expected to step up to, and we are really close to meeting the final goals. I think we need 70 points. We're at 68. So we're very close to getting all the accreditations on all this new technology. I don't feel bad because it's a small, very select group of partners that have actually received those accreditations to date. We would probably be in the top 5% once we do receive those accreditations, which we fully expect to have hopefully by the end of this year, if not latest January. Another thing that we liked a lot is the emphasis on industries. Microsoft is pushing this tremendously. So they have committed to providing a good horizontal solution that addresses the needs of most organizations when it comes to accounting and finance needs, and when it comes to some operational needs. But they're really looking to the partners like ACE and the third-party solutions providers that are out there, the ISVs, independent software vendors that are out there, to drive the industry verticalization. And so if you've gone out to our website, you'll see that we've really put a stake in the ground in our verticalizing on distribution and some sub-verticals within distribution. But you're going to see more and more of that, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's distribution, whether it's retail hospitality, not only within the partner channel, but also within the third-party ISVs. So the ability to add ISVs very quickly to, and I won't say customize, but certainly specialize your solution to meet the unique needs of your business based on your industry. So there's a strong emphasis on that within Microsoft and within the partner community. Microsoft's not dumb. They have competition out there, and so they're trying to provide appropriate incentives for the client base, either new clients and or existing clients. So they continue to provide the incentives to drive existing clients that maybe are on an older on-premise solution to move to to newer solutions, cloud-based solutions, and incentives for new clients that want to potentially leverage the Microsoft platform and ERP solutions. So we continue to see those incentives, continue to try to inform our clients of those incentives, and so that we can make the best of it. Improved coverage by Microsoft. Microsoft personnel from a sales and support standpoint has traditionally focused on these big enterprise type organizations. and maybe they came down into the, the upper, small mid-market, maybe the way top end of it. But we're seeing that they're pushing down a little bit further, and they're not just focusing on the big enterprise accounts, where there's 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 desktops, at play. They're really starting to push down into the mid-market. And we like that because that's where the majority of our clients are. Those are the, and that's where we spend the majority of our effort, is servicing the needs of that upper small to mid-market. And we're starting to see more and more Microsoft personnel that are there, that are available to us, and that are willing to engage. Last but not least, I will make it very, very clear that as far as Microsoft is concerned, Business Central is the future. That there is no doubt about Business Central being the future, and their investments in cloud-based solutions being that future. So they made it very, very clear to us as partners, and I think they made it clear to, the end customers and clients that were in attendance as well, that is the future, and that's where they're going to be spending their time, talent, energy, dollars, etc. So that's what I took away from it. You'll hear a little bit more from others. So I'm going to pass the baton on to Chris here. So Chris, let me make you presenter if I can.
Well, we can look at the slide first, Mark, before.
All right.
So hi, everybody. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are.
Mark, that's mine. You need to back up. There you go.
So I noticed in the attendee list, we have, several clients that are on Business Central right now, several that are in the process of implementing, and then several Dynamics GP clients that are also considering moving to Business Central. So I wanted to pick out some of the topics from Summit that applied to everybody here. So first and foremost, some key features in the 2022 or 2023 Wave 2 release, which is the October release of this year, that was just released last month. One of the key features that I see in implementation that a lot of people are asking for is, generating customer statements, but not having a traditional statement where you see a running balance or an aggregate balance by document, but just showing open items. This is something you can do in Dynamics GP with a modified form. They've now made this standard inside Business Central when you run the customer statement. So you can just show open items and an open balance. This is very similar to what Business Central calls a reminder. A reminder is another document inside receivables management that kind of serves the purpose of collections, a collections note if you're in the Dynamics GP world. So really the methodology that we use during implementation, if you wanted to have just an open statement for a customer, we would use reminders. But now we can use it as part of the formal customer statement process, which is nice. For those of you that are on Business Central right now or are implementing, list pages are a key part of analytics inside Business Central. Whether you're looking at posted sales lines, posted purchase lines, open receivables, open payables, these are all on lists. And in this October release, there have been some added features to how you can group data in those lists and how you can report on data in those lists without having to export out to Excel and generate a pivot table. And after I go through this list, I'm going to show you a few of these features before I hand the baton off here. Enhanced data search for documents and master records, documents being invoices, purchase orders, so forth, master records being customers and vendors. This is a really nice feature because it allows you to search across the entire ERP system for document numbers, purchase orders, invoice numbers, check numbers, and return results in multiple tables within the solution. So this is very powerful for doing research or just looking up key terms across several tables and returning results. Lastly, more efficient inquiry of related sales and purchasing documents. Really what this is, it just gives you a quick way to look at, shipments and invoices that relate to an order. So if you're on a specific order line, you can drill through very easily to see all the shipments that have taken place on that line, or all of the invoices that have been invoiced off of that original order line. I spent a lot of time also looking at artificial intelligence and Copilot, which is Microsoft's branded AI engine. And a couple of things that I'll show today are marketing descriptions, the long marketing descriptions that you kind of see on Amazon for items. It can be a headline with a paragraph and some bullet points. Really, Copilot can help you create that content for your items based on the data that exists inside Business Central on the item card. So if you have uploaded pictures, it can look at those pictures to determine characteristics for the item. If you're using attributes and you've assigned values to those attributes, it can then use that content in order to build out lengthy marketing descriptions. I mean, for me, the hardest thing to do is to look at a blank page and come up with some really, compelling text about an item. So this kind of helps you get to that point, and I'll show you an example of that in a few minutes. AI can also be used to help with sales forecasting using Azure AI models. This is something, if you're on Business Central Cloud, you can connect to Azure AI and look at historical sales of items. So if you do have seasonality in your items, it can look over several years of sales history and determine if you should use sales forecasts instead of safety stock levels and so forth and inventory in order to correctly replenish inventory based on those seasonality trends. And then lastly, Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate. There was a lot of integration enhancements between Power Platform and Business Central. One that we use on almost every implementation is Power BI, which is the reporting tool and the data analytics tool. So I'm going to show you some of the enhanced controls of Power BI for Business Central in the 22.5 release, which is the October release. So let's see, I'm 5 minutes in. I got 10 minutes or so to show you guys some of these. So Mark, if you want to make me the presenter real quick, I'll go ahead and kind of run through this list. And let me just make sure I got the right monitor here. Okay. All right, so we're looking at my my development environment in Business Central. This is a sandbox. You can see in the upper left up here is Kronos USA, and I'm just on the Role Center homepage. So I'm going to start with Power BI and the Power Platform. If you scroll down here into the analytics portion, you'll notice that I have a couple of Power BI objects that are added to the Insights section of my Role Center homepage. In previous releases, you could only add one single tile or web part that would have different Power BI reports or visuals in it. Here I've added 2 of them, and you can do up to 4 on your Role Center homepage. And what this allows you to do is add multiple visuals in one shot. So when you open up your Role Center homepage, you can see multiple visuals here. If I look at the configuration of this and I want to select additional reports, based on the security that I have in Power BI, I'm going to have access to all of my workspaces here. So you can see I've got several workspaces with several objects that are inside of it that I can add to Business Central. I can choose specific reports that are there. So based on that, I can make sure that I'm getting the visuals that I want inside Business Central. In addition to the security, I can also take larger Power BI objects, which we commonly deploy these as dashboards. But what you can do is you can view these dashboards directly inside Business Central. So I can expand this dashboard, and I now have a way to see the contents, to interact with the filters directly inside Business Central without having to open up another browser window and connect to that dashboard, or hit a favorite in my internet favorites and connect to that dashboard. I can go ahead and interact with that directly from my Role Center homepage. In addition to that, if I am an author for Power BI, I can also choose to manage reports, and I'm going to get all of the tools that I would see in the Power BI web service if I want to add new visualizations or add new data and make modifications directly to this Power BI dashboard. I can do that with all my tools that I could use in the web service if I was connecting directly to it. So a lot more features there. Power Automate also has several more workflows that come out of the box with Business Central. I think we have some content on our website, a session we did several months ago. So if you want to learn more about Power Automate and workflows, you can search for that content. All right, so that was Power BI and Power Automate. Let's look at some of the new analytics in lists. And for those of you that are Dynamics GP folks, a list inside Business Central is very similar to a smart list. And one of the best lists for analytics is looking up what we sold our customers. So line items, sales order line items in the past. So if I look at this list here, I can see a lot of information here. I can see every single line item, what the invoice number was, who the customer was, what type of line item was it? Did I bill them on a GL account? Did I bill them on an item? And then also the item and some information related to the revenue. What was the quantity we sold, unit of measure, and so forth. So this is all really good, and I have all my filters just like I do in Smart List in Dynamics GP. But the enhanced feature here in the October release is this Analyze button up here at the top. And what this allows you to do when you click on it is it gives you an interface now where I can create groups and I can start reporting on different information in here without having to export to Excel and run pivot tables. So it gives me a lot of that pivot table functionality. So let's just say I'm looking at all my line items here. Maybe I want to group first by my customer number, and then I want to see what we've sold them in the past. So if I look at all of the columns that are inside this, this posted sales invoice list, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my sell to customer number here, and I'm going to drag it down to my row groups. And now you'll see my sell to customer now is the outside group, and I've got a count of how many lines are on the inside. So if I look at customer number 3000, which is the School of Fine Art here, I can now see all of the items that we sold to that customer. But if I want to take it one step further and I want to get a count on every single item that we've sold them, I can now go ahead and pull number down as my secondary group. Now I'm going to go ahead and see customer 3000. Now I'm going to see all of my line items that I sold them. And I'm going to start seeing, sums of my quantities, my average unit cost, all my values are going to show up down here. So I can make changes to these if I want to see average, if I want to see sum, if I want to do mins, maxes, firsts, whatever it may be. I can now do all of that analysis right here in my list view and not have to export this out to Excel. And of course, just like standard lists, I can go ahead and save these so that I can reuse them again and again for analysis purposes. So just to clarify, this is available on all list views, every list view that's in the system: customer ledger entries, general ledger entries, payables, purchase order lines, you name it. You've got this toolbox over here on the right. All right, so one of the features that was released that is in what's called public preview right now is the enhanced data search. And this is really master documents and or master records and document numbers. So if I go to the preview name for this is, oops, I think it's search. Yeah, search in company. You notice that this is in preview. But what this does is this search in company allows you to enter in a keyword, a key phrase, a key number. Maybe I'm looking for an invoice that ends in 3211. So if I search on that, what it does is it looks through all of the tables that I have configured and returns all of the lines that match a portion of my key phrase. So I can see I have several general ledger entries that were produced from my invoice number that ends in 3211. I've also got a posted sales invoice here for the School of Fine Art. That's the invoice itself. And then I also have 2 lines on that invoice here, line 10,000 and 20,000, which is just line 1 and 2. And from within this search, I can go ahead and drill in and get directly to that invoice from my one search screen. So I don't have to jump around, go to the customer, go to the item list, go to the item, drill in, search by day. I can really just search by one key term and go directly into that invoice number. So again, this is in public preview. You may not see it if you're on Business Central right now. It is a feature that you have to turn on right now. It's due to release in April of 2024, but you can turn it on and beta it. I would just reach out to your IT group if you do want to see that, and we can work with them to turn that on and configure it so we're not searching across the entire database there. All right, so that was data search. The last thing that I'm going to show you is some of the AI and the Copilot integration with Business Central. And this was really, as Mark indicated in his opening, the kind of the meat of Summit. This was kind of the theme that ran through a lot of the sessions was Microsoft's Copilot. And for those of you that aren't keeping up on AI, and I'm certainly one of them, you know, Copilot is really like a ChatGPT in the Google world. Copilot is kind of the branded version of AI from Microsoft. So one of the applications that they've put inside the system right now is for marketing texts, and that marketing text is all driven around items. So if I open up my item list here, and I'll just choose my Athens desk here. And we'll go to that item card, and you'll notice that I've got a picture over here on the right. I've got a short description, just like I do in most ERP systems. I'll have a short description for the item. But I also have this marketing text over here, which is kind of a HTML formatted text blob that allows me to do formatting like bolds and underlines and bulleted lists and hyperlinks and italices and all sorts of things that I can do. So one of the things that Copilot can do for you is help you create the marketing text so you don't have to fill it out yourself. And what it does is it looks at all of the information on the item card. It also looks at any pictures that are uploaded to the item. And then it will also look at the item attributes that you've defined for the item. So in this case, in my sample data here, I've got several attributes that relate to this item. I'm tracking what color it is, the dimensions, what material is it built out of, are there any certifications, all sorts of information here. So what it's going to do is it's going to use a lot of that in order to create the text. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create with Copilot here, and it's going to look across a lot of that information, and it's going to try to generate some text for me based on all of that. So you notice that I just said really quickly, clicked on the Create with Copilot, and it gave me a nice headline in quotes, and then it also gave me some additional information. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit here, and I want to review this. So I can look at this. I can see all the information that it pulled up. I didn't write this; it just generated it based on all the information that was in my on my item card. I can go ahead and accept this, or I can give it more information to kind of form different tone, different types of text, and so forth. So right now I'm in the format of a tagline and a paragraph, but maybe I want this to be more kind of technical. I want it to be more of a brief. So I can go ahead and change this to a brief format and create a draft, and it will go ahead and redo the marketing text for me and give me more of a bulleted list of kind of facts only, right? Take out a lot of the fluff language and give me just facts only. I can also modify this to just a paragraph. Let's remove that, and I can change kind of the tone. If I want a formal tone, casual tone, creative, upbeat, I can make changes like that. Or if I want to emphasize a quality, or I want to remove the use of some of the attributes, I can do that and really shape how how the Copilot will narrate or create the text for this item. And then of course, once I'm done and I've gone through that, I can go ahead and click OK, and it will add that marketing text to my item. And now all of my native integrations with e-commerce sites can now look at that marketing text and go ahead and put that in the long description, so that when a user browses for an item on my website, or if I'm connected to Amazon, it can now look at that information in my marketing text and build out the item card. So extremely powerful. This is kind of the first step in Copilot kind of morphing into Business Central and providing some additional tasks. There's also in the future, there are going to be other models. There's a model right now where you can actually forecast information for your items. You can connect to Azure AI, which is Copilot, and build out a forecasting model for your items based on history that exists inside Business Central. So you can create that model in Azure AI. You can then connect to it from Business Central, load up all your historical data, and then it can provide sales forecasts in Business Central for you. And for those of you that don't know what a sales forecast is inside Business Central, I'll just show you a quick snippet of one so you can get the general idea. We have financial, budgets and forecasts that are all at the financial level. These demand forecasts are really at the base unit of measure level, and it's just how many units do we expect to sell of this item in each month. And then when we go ahead and run our replenishment and our planning tools inside Business Central, that forecasted demand can be referenced here from our demand planning, and not just from a safety stock level or something like that. So AI can actually look at the history of the Athens desk, look at the seasonality, and then provide you with our 2024 forecast and determine that, hey, this sells much better over the summer. So once we get into the summer in May and June, we actually are anticipating double the demand. And then of course, as we get into the holiday season, we are doubling the demand in October, November, and December. So it gives us a lot more tools to give us that insight and then help us with replenishment planning and keeping our inventory at the optimal levels. All right, so that was my last item that I wanted to show, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and I will make you the presenter again, Mark.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Share my screen. And I am going to advance the slide and turn it over to Laura to talk about her insights from Summit. Laura, how are you?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the beauty of going to Summit is just the volume of information, sessions, learning that's available to anybody who attends. And they break it down quite nicely. So I could be, and sometimes I've gone every year for the last at least a decade. I can break it down into very strategic sort of learning areas. I can just be kind of wild and crazy and go wherever I want to. Can you go back up to the other one, Mark? Thank you. So I can kind of go just wild and crazy over, what I'm really, because I just want to take everything in, So this time, and it was very specific to some of what ACE has been dealing with and doing and changing and growing with in 2023. I really wanted to kind of focus very specifically on project management. And they had a lot of sessions this year. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This year they had several. And so I really kind of channeled in on that. And the reason for that is because, as many of you hopefully know, we released a new website this year. We rolled out a new website, and we're promoting fixed price projects in our specific line of businesses, our industry specific sort of areas. So we still have our time and material projects, no doubt, but we've added this fixed price concept. And for me, as being over operations, I really felt like this required kind of a new focus on how we are doing our projects, how we deploy them. What does project management kind of mean for us? Historically, we have used, we've always had project management in our projects, or most of our projects, and it's been a lot about coordinations and scheduling and status reports and things like that. But it gets a little bit deeper. It gets a little bit more involved when you start really dealing with things on the fixed price side. So I wanted to see what that looks like, who's doing it, how they're doing it, and so forth. And I just kind of really focused on that holistically through this summit this year. So as a result of these, and I encourage everyone to go out to our website, take a look, our fixed price projects are all around our BC offerings. And so, under our kind of distribution model, and again, we still do everything else, but as we're starting to focus and hone in on these particular types of projects, it kind of created a need to really revisit this. That's why I went there. So our new deployment protocol for projects, again, fixed price and time and material, but I actually have hybrids where a project will be both fixed price for certain things and time and material. How do I do that? Do I use the old way, the new way? How do I blend the two? And so I was really working and listening to the presenters at Summit to kind of tell me how they're doing it. And then I find sort of the best way that makes sense for ACE. We've kind of morphed into a concept called workshops, where we really want to bring in the end users, the subject matter experts, or the power users who are from the client side, and really bring them into the sessions where we historically may have just been doing stuff behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden magically it appears for you guys in your project, and you're like, oh, okay, it's done. Well, we're finding that it's really important for you guys to, especially with BC, to understand why these decisions were made, and to help make those decisions, see where those settings have been defined, and really push your knowledge, your overall global knowledge of the system, and which breeds the ownership and adoption for all of your end users and so forth. So these workshops are really where we sit with you, and it's we have a configuration workshop. You're seeing how we're configuring the system, and you're going to ultimately own that down the road, so that you're not needing us to make every little tweak and change in the system that may come up later on. It helps you through the UAT stage or the user acceptance testing stage of the project. It helps you through the training of the project. You know why certain things have taken place or been set, and you are now free to ask, well, what if we change it to this? What happens when I do that? And we can walk through that with you. And it's just building that tribal knowledge of BC that we're really wanting and willing to share with you, so that you can be as self-sufficient as possible, with the understanding that we're always here to help you. As a result of some of all the research and the sessions that I attended, I have actually modified the current status report that we provide, our project plan and setup report that we've always had. I've enhanced it significantly. Mark, if you want to give me control, I'll bring that up.
All right. You should have control now, Lauren.
Show my screen. Yep. Can you see it?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So this actually looks very similar to what many of you who have used had projects with us before, and really what it has. This is the first page, it's kind of the summary page. So we just kind of highlight the deal, but what we've added is the ability to have both T&M and fixed fee projects within the project itself. And as a result, we're able to really see how everything sort of comes together with the project as a whole. So this is actually an ongoing project, and it's a good size one. We should be finished. We really just started this about a month ago, and so we're heavily into it at this point. But you can see that I've got an area for what the fixed fee payment schedule is, because that's very how we bill it is very different now. Also have an area for when we get into the T&M portion of the project. I'm able to track that as well, all within one document. I've created a Gantt chart in here that actually takes every single very detailed line of the project all the way to the end. And this project is literally planned day by day between now and the end of this project. You can see how much detail is in this. And I've literally put dates and times and everything around this. That's part of the new deployment strategy. We will have a project that on the first day that we start that project, we create this project plan and we know exactly when it's going live and we map it out. As I mentioned before, we have this concept of workshops, and the workshops literally are scheduled. So if I have a workshop here, let me look at, so we have all of these little things, but if we have like the project plan review workshop. So when we create the project plan, we have a session with the client, and we go through this in very big detail, because there's a lot to consume on this document. And just because I laid these dates out as a project manager, it may not work for them. They may have pockets of time where they're not available and we have to shift it. So again, this workshop, while I have the document ready and prepared, the client gets to say, oh, hold on, that's not gonna work for us. We have shut down that week, or we have a big trade show that everybody's going to, or we have offsite team building, or that's the holidays. I don't think we can do that, So whenever I enter these dates here, then it immediately keeps track and, automatically puts my date, my times, or my, I don't know, the Gantt part of it, of the schedule. So you can see sort of what the range is on the chart itself. And as we build through this, these yellow columns are holidays and so forth. And we're literally going through, and we can see all the way to the end of this project. And as we go down, all of these dates are here on a chart that we can kind of watch and move things around. And as soon as I make a change here, because there's been a request by the client, then it automatically updates the schedule over here on the right. So this was a big add and something that we'd been missing for some time from our project planning. We've had kind of, a list of details and so forth, but we really haven't been as mindful historically to put these really solid dates around it. It's been sort of being built throughout the project. And now we really want to say, this project's going to go live this date, and we can do this as long as the client is comfortable. We know that things happen in a project. We know that things have to push out, but that's okay. If you plan nothing, you'll hit nothing. We have a goal. We're heading for it, and we're really, really focusing on that now, associated to all the things that I took away from the sessions that I went to prior. The workshop schedule. This is something that we had really had before. It's more kind of the training schedule, but I've enhanced it significantly. So whatever date is populated on the scheduling Gantt chart, it automatically builds out my workshop schedule here. And so that we can keep track of, and we know exactly who will be attending what sessions they're attending, and so forth. And then we fine tune that and tweak and adjust as we need to, because we do understand that clients are living in a production world, and we're kind of adding a really big task with this implementation to their already busy schedules. So we're definitely flexible. We do want to stick hard, as close as possible to the schedule that we've all agreed to, and we will tweak and adjust as needed. We are recording all of our sessions, and we're making those available to our clients during the project, so that if someone is not able to attend, we don't have to repeat anything. We just send them the recording, and they can watch on their own time, and then always circle back with questions or comments associated to that the next session that they're able to attend. So this is really, excuse me, this is really the two areas that I've really spent a lot of time building out. And as you can see in this project, we're already finished with all of these all the way through here. This is the first configuration. Workshop is actually happening as we speak. And so it's really helping us everyone get a visual on this. We are also working on on providing a shared site through our SharePoint site, where each project potentially has their own project site. That way we don't have emails going back and forth. Everybody we can store documents, shared documents, the status reports go there. You can look it up at any time. And so we're working on building that out currently. We're about 50% there. And then that will help everybody. We'll put all of our recordings there. We'll put all of our training material there. All of those kinds of things are being built out so that we have this kind of one-stop shop for the project itself, and everybody can have a lot of visibility to what's happening with the project as it goes along. The other items that we have here on the bottom are the same items that we've had before. As we get closer to go live, we start really tracking very minute, specific things that are pending that we need to address, and so forth. As we get close, we also prepare a very detailed go live checklist. Who's doing what time, because this cutover can get very messy if we're not very detailed. And detail is what we need in that cutover concept. So we've been doing this for a long time. We track risk and constraints just to make sure that we're documenting anything that appears to be a potential roadblock for the success of the project going live, staying in budget, those kinds of things. It could be something technical related. It could be something associated to a key participant in the project leaving. They're not available. And so we have to restructure and kind of, circle back, and we want to, recognize those. Make sure we bring people up to speed. We always have our budgets to actual based on, whatever customization, extension, integration that we may be doing, and we'll keep track of that. And then we always provide the billing details associated to any time and material piece of a project. So these are all the tabs associated to our very massive project status report, but it holds all the key information. And as we continue to build out the SharePoint site, we may take some of this stuff out and just kind of lock it down on an object inside of our SharePoint site. We're still kind of working through that, but this is the base of the information that we provide. So that was definitely going to be very, very important for us to really shift our thought process to make sure that we're not missing anything associated to the success of how we deploy, and to recognize the things that have to change because of the products or the projects that we are deploying now. The fixed price and the hybrid really kind of changed the game for us, associated to what we've always been used to doing. And it was time to grow and change, and that's what we've been working on. So the next piece of this is just kind of a review of what's really important associated to the projects that we have, the things that we really need to focus on. Clear and specific requirements is actually begins at the sales stage. And so we need sales to really understand what the client requirements are, document that, and transition that over to the operations team so that we can take that and use that information and expand it during the discovery phase of our projects. Comprehensive planning, that's that project plan that I just showed you. Building out that and making sure we're keeping that up to date. And our percentages of completion, and we really know how this project is rolling out. Leadership and teamwork, that's going to be, that the project manager is the authority on the project for us. We've kind of had maybe not a little, I don't want to say loosey-goosey, but sometimes it feels like they're more just coordinating things, but they really need to be strategically involved in the project to help spearhead decisions that need to be made that are maybe stalling on the client side, to work with sales when there's been a change of some kind, to keep everyone informed of the happenings in that project, the roadblocks, the stumbles, the challenges that we're having, any gaps that we come across that can happen anytime through or any changing requirements. The process with using that very comprehensive project plan and status report, as well as using the SharePoint site, is that open communication. We want to be able to make sure we have a lot of visibility, and the proper risk management. PMs need to know when there's risks and what those are, and be very proactive in getting them resolved. So that's what I focused on at Summit, and it was a good refresher, and I learned a lot, and we're implementing everything that makes sense for ACE. All yours, Mark. I'm not sure how to get it back to you though.
That's all right. I can take it from here.
Okay.
I believe so. Make presenter, show my screen. All right. So, Laura, thank you so much. Great information there. Not only how we leverage Summit information that we've gleaned, but how we're leveraging it to improve our entire situation, how we deliver projects, and the information that we provide. So, going to move on to Gil, and I just got a message from Gil that he lost power. So I'm not sure. Gil, are you still on, or do I need to take this from here? And I'll take silence as possibly his inability to talk to this. So I'll go ahead and talk.
It says he's offline.
He's offline?
Yep.
Okay, so I need to take this?
Correct.
Fantastic. Well, I can talk to this because Gil and I worked on this together. But so what this slide and what Gil was going to present to is just talking about the experience in general of Community Summit. If you've been, you've experienced it. If you haven't been in a few years, it has changed dramatically. If you went, during the COVID years, it has certainly changed dramatically. These conferences are kind of back and the attendance is up. This year was actually the largest attendance. Largest attendance of a summit in I think in ever. I mean, since it started 10, 12 years ago. If you haven't had a chance to get to Summit, make sure you make plans. Kind of going out of order here. We try to be there every year. We try to promote this within our client base. It's definitely worthwhile. I would also suggest that if you're currently on GP and you're looking to move to BC in the next year or two, maybe this coming year, maybe 2024 is the year you should attend, so that you can get any kind of final questions you have on GP answered, but you can also start really kind of diving into the deep end of the pool when it comes to BC and your BC knowledge. Just so that you know, Community Summit 2024 is October 13th through the 17th of next year. It is in San Antonio, Texas, so it's in the middle part of the country. It makes travel a little bit easier for all of those that want to attend. A couple of things I want to talk about for Dynamics GP. Those of you, there's several of you on the call that are currently on GP and still trying to decide what you want to do. GP is still out there. GP is still supported. Microsoft had about 50,000 customers on GP, so they're not just going to drop it. But again, we are still at Summit. It's kind of clear that the road path starts to dwindle down after 2028. And we see, our thoughts are we see the product turning into basically a sunsetted solution at that point in time. They do continue with new features and enhancements. That'll happen twice every year. Their GP is now on that modern release cycle. So spring and fall, you'll see updates to GP, mostly around security and compliance type issues, mostly around some year-end reporting type issues, payroll issues, 1099 issues, those types of things. But they are still making some investments into the platform and leveraging some of Microsoft's other tools like the Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate, those types of things.
Mark,
yes.
I don't mean to interrupt there. I'm back now.
All right. Well, I'm gonna, since we're down to 2 minutes here, I'm gonna just finish it up, Gil, and go into Q&A because I want to open it up for any questions. So I'm just going to wrap it up. Sorry about that. Timing was awful on your power loss.
Yeah, no joke. It was the worst timing possible. It's not so positive in my book.
Yep, that's all right. That's all right. So, those are some of the things that we talked about. You can see some pictures there on the right of the team. The Summit floor, client dinners that we were involved in. Just a lot of good things that are happening, not only during the sessions during the day, but also in the evenings and network and interactions. So again, if you've been there, keep going. If you haven't, we'd love to see you there in the future. So with that said, I'm going to move forward and leave it, kind of open it up for any Q&A. We've got 1 minute left. I didn't see any questions come in during the session itself. Are there any questions from the group as a whole? Anyone want to pose a question in the questions box? All right. Well, with that said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and give everybody at least 1 minute of their time back. Again, I want to thank everybody for attending today. If you do have any questions, reach out to me or reach out to your associated account manager. We will have this session. This session was recorded, so it will be posted out on our website. It'll give it a couple days. And if you want a copy emailed directly to you, again, reach out to me or one of your, your account manager, and they can certainly get back in touch with you and help out. Let me see here. I think is there one question here? Nope. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time. Have a wonderful day, and look for our December webinar announcements starting probably the first week of December. We'll start getting emails on the webinar and the topic for December, and we hope you can attend that as well. Everybody have a great day. Thanks so much.